We put ourselves in that position. Outside of that, we didn't. We just stayed disciplined and organized in the game defensively. Number one, and then the other piece is that look, we haven't scored 2, 3, 4, 5 goals, but we have been able to figure out how to close games out at the end of the game, and we've fought to the final whistle, and we haven't lost ourselves in games, and that's the big difference. You got to score though, and we did, and unfortunately we could have been up 3-0 in the first half, for sure.
What do you think about just the timing of what you're talking about? Because obviously you guys were in a position that's not great and not familiar for your team. What do you think about just the way the guys responded to that?
I don't know. I understand your question. I don't necessarily agree the way that you frame it, and you say that we're not used to it. It's not like we win all the time. The game is in a season is full of a lot of disappointments, and there's a lot of moments at the same time where you find success. And what you have to be able to do over the course of the season is never let the highs get too high and the lows get too low. You got to manage those moments. And if there's one thing that maybe is coming out right now, based on the fact that we've returned a lot of guys from injury and that they're getting fitter, and the climate is helping as well. But the other thing is that I think our experience in games that are really important are what's coming to the forefront at the moment. I think that's probably the essence of how we're being more disciplined, more organized, more concentrated, and also standing up face to face to what we have to do. We still have a long road ahead of us. We have a lot of games to play still, and we have a lot of points on the table, and we got to keep clawing our way up there. And now it starts with our game next week.
Going back to the defensive discipline that you talked about, Peter, just what examples of that did you see from your field players that complemented Tim's play and goal, where he obviously made some key saves for you?
Yeah, I'll leave Tim out of the conversation for just a second, because I think Tim has, for a while now, been a very steady influence on the team. But I want to leave him out because he's been steady for us. But unfortunately, the guys in front of him haven't necessarily come through in the same way. So let's talk about them for just a moment. If you take the action in the second half where we give the ball away and now Philly has to foul the guy, Ramirez, as he's running in, and now we get that free kick on top of the box, if you go back and watch it, you got a bunch of guys that aren't turning their back when the guy's hitting it. You got guys diving on the ground to block anything going low. I mean, we're blocking the ball. We're fighting for everything in that moment. And that attitude then becomes it's like a disease, right? And so now all the guys are doing the same thing. So that's a big part of, in those moments, even though we made a mistake, it's where you make a mistake. Now it hasn't hurt you yet. It's kind of like when a referee calls a foul and it's not a foul. You can complain about the foul all you want, but at the end of the day, you still have to defend that play. And so we made a bad mistake and we figured out a way how to defend the situation. That's something that we weren't doing before. We just didn't have good concentration. I don't think our attitude was good.
And the other thing,
and now it is.
And now it is. And the other thing is, just talk about the guys being able to take care of the ball, especially in stoppage time. I mean, the one moment that comes to my mind is when you have the short corner kick, and Felipe basically just kind of shields the ball to help grind out the time.
Yeah, I mean that goes back to that experience point. We have guys that have some real experience in very, very big moments, and so when you look at those situations, you need guys like that it's one thing to have experience, it's another thing to use it at the appropriate moments, and the guys are starting to do that.
Wonder what you thought of Luis tonight. It seemed like more of a concerted effort to go forward, and kind of the guy that you described to us whenever you added him.
Yeah, he's getting fitter. I had said when he played his first game, he hadn't played 3 months before that, so he's starting to get more and more fit. We also had a game plan in place. They recognized it about 30 to 35 minutes in, but it wasn't hard to. We were going down our left quite a bit, and we were finding a lot of success. And so they changed up a little bit, but we still found a lot on the outside channels today. But he's getting more and more. It's one thing to get fit. The other thing, he's It's been here a short period of time, and he's really got himself indoctrinated to our team pretty quickly.
Goodness. Felipe Gutierrez, this is his third straight game there, kind of playing at that defensive mid, that number 6 role. He's been so successful this season going forward in the attack, but what do you see from him in that 6 role and why you keep putting him out there in that spot?
I'd probably just say it really simply and say, do you know what last week's starting lineup was? Yeah. We got a result. Those guys know how to grind it out. Why would I change it? That's really it.
Davey used to be your captain for Kansas City. You face him today as a coach. What was that like for you, and what did you think of his coaching moment so far?
I was amazed at how much he was yelling at the referees. That's one. But I can see, like, even in second half, start the second half, he wasn't going to sit back. He pushed his guys out to go and press, to go and try and go after the game. He didn't want to sit back, but that's also his nature. And I think it's always important for a coach to, you got to be yourself. You got to play to who you are, and you can see that coming out in him. And it was good. It was good for him. It's interesting because I always thought that Davey would be a coach one day for sure.
You're the longest tenured manager in MLS. You've seen it all.
No, I haven't. I saw something today. Like, I can't believe that Jimmy Medranda with Figueroa, and I like Figueroa a lot. I think he's a really good player, but I have no idea. It's not a red card. I have absolutely no idea. So when I see stuff like that, but I'll tell you, if it's Vela, if it's Ibrahimovic, if it's, I go down the list of guys. If it's any of those guys that tackle happens to, there's not even a thought. It's a red card. And to me, it's disrespectful to all the players in the league. It doesn't matter who or what the name is on the back of the jersey. It matters at that moment, the player on the ball should be the player that should be protected. And the fact that he's not protected, it drives me nuts. And it's something that I will consistently say as much as I can that players need to be protected, and that is a terrible tackle from behind after the ball's already released. And the fact that he walks away with a yellow card, and I say this again, if it's those players with the name on the back, red card in a second. Sad. So sorry. But you gave me a chance to say that.
Yeah. Well, looking at the overall picture of the league, a lot of the talk is LAFC, Atlanta, the success that they've had in a short span of time. Save for this season, Kansas City has been, among the elite in MLS. What is it about this club or that has allowed you to be able to have that long-term success?
It's not one thing. It's a lot of things. Look, I always say we have a great ownership group. They had a great vision when they bought the team. They also, it's very evident that they go out and they get people that they trust, they believe in, they build that trust and they belief. They allow them the autonomy to do their job as well. They don't panic. They understand that they're, in any business, you need time. And so it's taken time to build the club. And that's a big piece. The other is that, you have to have some very key ingredients, right? You have to have a very good ownership group. You have to have a really good staff. You have to have really good facilities, and you have to have really good players. And I think that we've been pretty consistent in all those things.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Locker room's open.